Mic'd. All right, good evening. Welcome to this May 8th, 2023 meeting of the Village of Western Springs Village Board of Trustees to honor our nation's heroes and especially to honor the individuals who serve and protect our community. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you. May we have the roll call, please? Here.
Here. Here. Here. Here.
Here. Thank you very much. Now we move on to citizen comments. No one here. And Manager Bear, did we receive anything? No. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. We will move right into the workshop portion of our meeting, and we will begin with the Properties and Recreation Committee. Trustee Chen.
No report. Thank you.
Okay. Well, that was easy. All right. Moving on. Trustee Fink, Public Works and Water.
All right. Our first thing is the Flag Creek outfall proposal. We didn't have a meeting, but both Trustee John and I were briefed on this, so just bringing this to the meeting today. So the Flag Creek outfall proposal, since 2021, we've been budgeting $150,000 annually to fix how the stormwater will flow into Flag Creek. And they've been using a design and build program or methodology because the projects are a lot of it on private public land, and it's the best way to get that done versus bidding it out. So we're recommending another design and build to work on. So everything in Ridgewood is done. So now they're working on between 47th and 55th Street. So recommending $37,400 to V3 Engineering to begin just the survey work. And so far, $150,000 again is budgeted for that item. The next item is the Wolf Road rehabilitation. So Wolf Road rehab started today. They're working on it from Plainfield to 31st Street. And Wolf Road is, as everyone knows, very busy, and it's might be ugly, so expect delays. They're going to work on between Plainfield and 47th first, and it's going to just get more dicey when things get more narrow between 47th and Ogden. And that is not a village project. That is the Cook County Highway Department.
I was going to say, are they the whole way, or are they just from Ogden to 31st Street? The highway, the whole way?
No, from Plainfield to 31st.
Okay,
but they're breaking it up into, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 different sections.
Yes, they're going to do 3 different sections. Jeff might have some additional, but my understanding is they're going to do the asphalt sections first and then come back and do the concrete areas of Wolf Road later this summer.
Is there going to be any period where the entire road is blocked with detours, or are they going to have one lane each way?
My understanding is most of it will be blocked in sections, different sections along the route.
And what's the estimated total time for this?
All summer into early fall.
Wow.
They've given us an exact definite.
No, Matt, that's all we've heard as well. They are going to keep the road open while they work, but there'll be flaggers in one lane, so there'll be delays.
Okay, it'll definitely be an inconvenience, but okay.
My last item is May 21st through 27th is American Water Works National Drinking Water Week. So I have a special proclamation for that I'd like to read, because I'm sure you read it in your packets, but it's so important we need to read this out loud. Whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the Village of Western Springs. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, who are engineers, managers, and employees of all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for citizens, civic leaders, and children in the village of Western Springs to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas this year, 2023, marks the 63rd Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, be it now. Now, therefore, we, the members of the Board of Trustees, the Village of Western Springs, Cook County, Illinois, acting by and through the village president, I do hereby designate the week of May 21st through 27th, 2023 as National Public Works Week.
Thank you very much.
And that is all I have.
All right, any other questions for Trustee Fink? All right, thank you very much. Planning and zoning, Trustee John.
Thank you. I just have two things. First, we've got the community development, EZA Engineering Professional Services contract agreement. Community development and engineering department manage the building and permit process, which includes inspections, plan review, to ensure compliance with the approved plans, zoning, and DCO. When the plan review and inspection, maybe it's me. Inspection demands are high, and when our full-time service engineering staff is working on another project, the village does require a third-party plan review and inspection to meet the demands of the village. The staff is requesting that the contract be approved with EZA Engineering for inspection and plan review services during the periods of higher demand as needed for overflow work. This would be a 2-year agreement with 1-year options at the discretion of the current Board of Trustees. And then the charges associated with this would be based upon the amount of work provided by EZA Engineering. Any questions?
Have we worked with them before?
I don't believe so. Tony, have we?
Can you repeat the question? I didn't hear it.
I'm sorry, just curious. Have we worked with them before? I don't recognize the name.
We have not. I did work with Mr. Patterson in Oak Brook. He also does the same work in Westmont, so I am familiar with him.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. And did this need to be added on to the omnibus or no?
Yes, for the
Okay.
next
We'll
meeting.
just add this onto the omnibus for the next meeting. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then adoption of the 2023 official zoning map. So the Village of Western Springs Community Development Department has prepared the official 2023 zoning map for review and recommendation by the Planning and Zoning Committee for adoption by corporate authorities. So basically, the village has a map with different types of buildings and types of houses that concur, and I think it's in the it's in the packet. There's only really just a few noteworthy updates to the map. R4 zoning classification for 17 West Ogden Townhome Development, which we've discussed multiple times in the past, which is going up nicely. And then a conditional use for 514 Hillgrove Ave for the mixed-use development, which we've also talked about. It was also going up very nicely. So we recommend approval of the request for this map and publish in accordance with the municipal code. Any questions? All right.
Great. So we'll add that to the
Yeah, we'll have it
omnibus.
as the omnibus.
Okay,
Thank you very much. And that is it for me.
great. Thank you. Okay, public health and safety, Trustee Lewis.
Thank you, President Rudolph. At our last meeting, the committee reviewed a revised mutual aid box alarm system known as MAVIS Master Agreement. MAVIS is a mutual aid response system for fire, emergency medical service, and specialized incident operational teams. It's designed to provide fast response of emergency resources to member communities during emergencies. For example, if there's a large fire in Western Springs, we can request and receive additional assistance from area fire departments. Chief Kelly told us that some 2,200 agencies in Illinois and surrounding states participate in MAVIS. The master agreement was last revised in 1998, so it was time for another look. The most significant change was related to indemnification And the agreement makes it clear that each agency is responsible for the actions of its personnel, no matter where they are. MABUS has been a very successful program, and our committee is recommending the new master agreement be approved by the full board at our next meeting. Next up, a proclamation of all things. Related to Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas the emergency medical services system consists of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, educators, administrators, and others, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Western Springs proclaims the week of May 21st through 27th, 2023 as Emergency Medical Services Week with the theme Where Emergency Care Begins. That's all I have on that.
Very good, thank you.
Moving on, the fire department has been doing some spring cleaning, and consequently, our committee is recommending the full board approve at our next meeting the disposal of some surplus fire department equipment, and a list of the items was included in our packet for tonight. And item D, Police Department 2022 Community Service Survey. As a part of our police department's ongoing efforts to gauge their performance, 15 surveys are mailed each month to Western Springs residents who contacted the department. Of the 180 surveys mailed in 2022, 52 returned, representing a solid 28.9% response rate. The board also received a summary of the results in our packets tonight. Survey respondents were asked to rate the department employee with whom they interacted in several categories. Included were courtesy, competence, professional conduct, and knowledge. The vast majority of respondents indicated overall positive interactions, nearly all selecting excellent or good in each category. Another question asked respondents to rate the importance of various police services. Neighborhood patrol and visibility was ranked most important, followed by preventing crimes against a person. And perhaps most importantly, and as we have seen in previous years, nearly all responses pertaining to how residents feel about the overall performance of the department remain in the excellent or good category. So all in all, some very positive results and another indication the department's performing at a high level. And so congratulations to Chief and everyone involved.
Thank you very much. Echo the congratulations.
And I would be happy to answer any questions about any of my items and other, but that is, oh, I do have one other thing. Our friends at Lyons Township High School are planning to have a fireworks display as a part of their graduation ceremony on May 31st at South Campus, and they're working with the department as far as fire department as far as getting a permit, and they'll notify the neighbors. So it should be nice. And that's all I have.
Exciting. Very good. Thanks very much. All right, we'll move on to the Finance Committee report, which I will provide. We'll begin first with the stormwater utility fee ordinance. It's available in our packet for consideration for the board. The ordinance is largely the same as the version that was presented on April 10th and that we've talked about quite a few times in the past, although language was added pertaining to the Timber Trail subdivision. Because the existing stormwater system within the Timber Trail subdivision is currently privately owned, the owners of the parcels located within the subdivision will not be charged a stormwater utility fee until the portion of the subdivision stormwater system that is required to be transferred to the village by the developer pursuant to the annexation agreement is conveyed and accepted by the village. Right, so there was some question and concern about this, and so this has been sorted through, and this is the conclusion. So this is the new piece of it. Questions about that? I'm sure Attorney Ann can help us with this.
Well, apologies if it's already been, when is that time that it will be conveyed to? What is the date?
I don't know the date off the top
Okay.
of my head, but it is pursuant to the annexation agreement that's in
Okay.
place. As benchmarks are reached, then the dedication of the utilities will occur.
So it's not 20 years, 30 years, it's within just the build-out.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Relatively short periods, pursuant to that.
Just depends on how fast
Right.
it builds up.
Builds up, okay.
That's right.
Okay. Right, other questions or anything, Casey, that you want to add to that? Okay. Okay. So this will then move on to the omnibus, I believe, right? Or actually, we have this, we're going to go out, this will be tonight that we will,
Right.
okay, great. Okay. All right, then the next item is is associated with this. We've mentioned it in the past, the Stormwater Utility Fee Credits Program. So the credits manual, it's also available in your packets, and I hope you've all had a chance to take a look at that. It provides Western Springs property owners with information on financial incentives related to the implementation of stormwater best management practices, BMPs, on their property. And so with that, I am going to turn this over to Casey to give us a bit more information.
Thank you, President Rudolph, and thank you for the intro. The manual itself provides a handful of things, but most importantly, guidelines, eligibility criteria, and then instructions on how to apply for the different types of credits. The BMPs, the best management practices that you mentioned, are focused around what's called volume control. So it's really very much what it sounds like, trying to control the amount of stormwater volume that falls from the sky before it impacts the village's stormwater system. So examples of those are things like rain gardens, detention basins, cisterns, and dry wells, and permeable pavement. Really, it's a place for stormwater to be stored and have less of an impact on the village's system, especially in the first flush of a rain event. So there's some really good examples on what those types of improvements look like. I sent a supplemental around to the village board, and we'll post it on the village website too, but the MWRD has a Green Neighbor guidebook that is an excellent document, and it really outlines some criteria about all these different types of improvements, and even some how-to guides on how to build them and how to maintain them, what types of plants to use for rain gardens, things like that. There's 4 different types of categories of credits that we are recommending in the credit manual. The first being residential, which would be impactful for a single family or multifamily home like a townhouse or condo. Non-residential for businesses, churches, park districts, school districts. Those 2 have a maximum credit potential of 50%, and it's purely based off of the impact that the improvement has on the amount of runoff coming from impervious area. A community partnership is another credit we're looking at, and that we've put in the draft manual, and that's something that is geared more towards a property owner who could assist the village as a whole in managing stormwater, usually on a larger scale. A good example of that might be the Springdale Detention Project, the Springdale Park Detention Project. That will have, certainly if it's constructed, have an impact on the community as a whole, the subdivision in particular, but really regionally the community. And that might be an incentive for partnership with the park district. So the community partnership's really to try to create these incentives between the village and other property owners to better manage stormwater. And then there's a subdivision stormwater management credit category as well. That's geared towards subdivisions, especially newer subdivisions that have existing stormwater management BMPs that they have built and they are currently maintaining and financially responsible for. So we geared that credit to try to mimic that financial responsibility for those subdivisions themselves. The guide also has an application process. There's quite a bit of information in there, but in general, it's going to ask for an application form that we're developing right now, and then documentation on how much volume is being stored, and then a maintenance plan if applicable. All of these BMPs require maintenance to continue operating at the level that they should be when they're initially installed. So, we have to make sure that those maintenance plans exist and that they continue to be maintained. If approved by the board tonight, we'll post everything on the village website, likely later this week. That includes the application form itself, and then the guidebook and the MWRD Green Neighbor document as well. That's all I have. So if you have any additional questions, Jeff and I are both here to answer anything you might want to know.
The average homeowner, though, would really only be looking at rain gardens and keeping a track of the permeable pavements. Detention basins are a much larger undertaking.
They certainly are, but they're not. It's not impossible to have one on a residential property. And then cisterns and dry wells as well are far more common on residential properties too. But to your point, I don't know, Jeff, if you have an opinion on this, but I don't believe we have many detention basins on residential properties.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment.
And a cistern or a dry well, is that a large undertaking? For the average homeowner, person that wants to get the 50%.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to require some infrastructure. It's not going to be, more than likely you'll have to hire someone to do it. But you may already have some of this on your property anyway. So just be documenting what you have and applying for a credit.
Okay. Thank you.
That MWRD site that you went to, it is very helpful in depicting and kind of explaining each of these. It does the good graphics where you can kind of see the underground kind of schematic of it. So it's helpful.
Just think of the average person like myself. What can I do to cut this down?
Right.
And be digging a well, but rain gardens seems something that could be easily put in.
Yep.
Maybe even have to build that big basketball court in the backyard or something like that.
Yep.
Seems like these are things that I can do as the average person.
Yeah, the permeable pavers as well on driveways
that's right,
or
the-
patios and things.
Well, relatedly, so on my property, we did put in pavers for our patio. So when you are looking at my property, do you already have that information, or would that be something that I would submit to you via the application?
Yeah, the application will have to be filled out for any credit. One, because unless it's very recent, we'd probably still likely want that paper trail. The application is going to also allow us to have an internal dialogue back and then show an approval at the bottom, so that if you apply, you've been approved as well. And then we'll have to keep track of it for a little bit of time. There's a reapplication process every 3 years is what we're proposing, because of that maintenance piece, or because properties change hands and sometimes someone doesn't know that they might have one of these and they have to maintain them. So we'll likely still have to have the application filled out regardless.
I guess my question is, when the fee gets applied to my property, I assume that I have to apply for a credit. That you looked at like the Google map and you saw that patio and you did not know whether it was impervious or not.
That's correct.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Thank you. That's very helpful. I will be doing that. Okay, and then, as far as the subdivision credits, so like my subdivision is very old, so I imagine that it wasn't built with any of these things in mind, right? And then we probably don't have any more subdivisions coming online in Western Springs. We're pretty much built out. I mean, and Timber Trails will be. So there really isn't an opportunity, in my view, for a subdivision to undertake something like this.
It really is geared towards newer subdivisions like Timber Trails, Commonwealth. There's a smaller development, Heritage Estates, that's just east of our South Fire Station, that has some detention that they maintain. Yes, to answer your question, it's certainly newer development that are financially maintaining detention basins or BMPs.
So, like, for example, I think the Commonwealth does have some retention, so they would apply for the credits.
They certainly could, yeah.
Okay, so so they could apply, but they would have to actively apply.
Yes, and we'll send this out. We've been in contact with many of the HOAs, so we'll certainly send this out as
So
well.
it'd be at the HOA level, right?
For the subdivision credit, yeah.
Okay.
Will staff be able to monitor all that? I mean, if you have, I don't know, 1,000 homeowners start sending all these applications in, it could be a big burden, even if it's online.
Yeah, sure. You know, we've talked to a couple of the other, I shouldn't say a couple, about 10 to 12 of the other communities that have a stormwater fee, especially about the credits program. And it doesn't appear that there's as many applications as you would think, especially right away. It's more of just a trickle over time. Could be different here, and we'll certainly find out pretty soon. There's a handful of us that are on the email box, so we'll monitor that and reassess after we go live, if we go live.
But it will be important to continue to get the information out about these opportunities, because it's not just about the credit, it's about what individual homeowners can do to help overall with the stormwater management. So I think the more we can do to make that information available, I think too, people will perhaps start to see their neighbors doing things. I have a neighbor with a rain garden that he's spent a lot of time on, for example. So I think hopefully the word gets out and more people will participate over time, and hopefully they do have a lot of
I'm
applications.
even thinking of like driveways. I know I need a driveway, it's 150 feet long. Maybe
Yeah.
I could do the math or with staff, they can say, if you put the pavers in like you did, what
my
the saving,
patio, yeah.
what the savings would be in the long run.
Yeah.
That type of thing could be
Yeah,
calculated.
yeah,
simply with-
good idea.
with staff.
And we have received quite a few questions about credits in particular over the last 6 to 8 months. So I've got an email folder that's saved just for the very occasion that if this is approved, we can send out more information to those homeowners. Some who have already implemented stuff, some who have thought about implementing stuff in the future and wanted to know what the impact would be. So we'll do that too.
Okay.
Just a reminder that, I think we mentioned this previously, but Deputy Manager Bernacki and I also went out and met with some of our larger businesses, our churches, the school districts. So we've definitely been talking about this with a lot of the community. We've been out at Gathering on the Green, at Ravinia and Ridgewood last year. We were at the Winter Wonderland. We've been really pushing the information out, and many of the people that we already spoke to, especially the schools and the churches, actually had some of these things that Casey just mentioned in terms of cisterns or rain gardens or even detention in some cases. So we'll continue to work with all of the groups that have approached us previously, and then of course welcome anybody else who may have questions about this. We'll definitely be pushing the communications.
I think just one other final reminder, I think, is this will go into effect then in July, is that what we're targeting? Yeah, okay. Any other questions on that topic? Okay, we're going to move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the lead service line replacement program. You've all probably heard about sort of the dangers of lead, but there certainly have been quite a few very public examples over the last several years. And it is an important issue and problem. And we have a state mandate that we have to adhere to, just like all of the surrounding communities. And I'm going to let Director Supert talk a bit about that and where we are with that right now.
Thank you. So in your packet this evening is a memo that kind of summarizes some of the information that we've met with the Finance Committee over the past couple months. We've been talking about what our financing options are, as well as our plan moving forward with the lead service line replacement program. If you recall, last September, the Village Board approved the pre-application for our public water supply loan program submitted to the IEPA. That essentially allowed us to get into the queue to further apply for IEPA loans. Since that time, staff has been working to kind of research, find out what other communities are doing, and find out what our options are in terms of not only funding, but how we can structure the funding and how it gets paid for, either through the water fund or through the rest of the residents. Where we've ended up essentially coming through reporting on tonight is most other communities are using the IEPA's I don't know if that's, is that my mic fuzzy, kind of getting fuzzy up there? Okay. Is that one better over there? Let me try that one. That sound better? Okay. I lost my train of thought on that now, sorry. Where we were is following up with other communities, looking at what sort of options they were doing. The vast majority of communities are also pursuing the state revolving loan fund through the IEPA. Our research that we found that we definitely, it's the best option for us to get our funding options into that program as well, especially upfront and early, because there is some opportunity for these first few years, for sure, to have some loan forgiveness programs that the IEPA is doing. We anticipate, at least for 2024's program, that there may be up to a 49% loan forgiveness for some loans. We don't know yet whether we would be eligible for that or not. That would largely depend on what other communities also apply for loans for next year. So one of the things we're looking to move forward with the board this month is we are gathering right now the IEPA actual loan application documents. We hope to bring those to the village board for approval on the 22nd. That way we can get our documents submitted to the IEPA this summer. Those documents, if we were going to go with the SRF loan, were due this summer, essentially by July, so we can get into the 2024 loan program and move forward with that. There will be further conversations, I think, continuing at the Finance Committee and possibly at the Public Works and Water Committee as the year goes on about out-year or future funding options. The way the SRF loan program works is you do have to submit each year, similar to what we did with our previous loans for the elevated tank, the standpipe, and some of our water main replacement projects. We had to submit documentation each year. So we intend, at least at this point, to continue to move forward with that, with this program, and then if further developments in terms of funding from either federal or state agencies become available, we'll look at those on a year-by-year basis and bring those to the board as they come through.
Dr. Super, can you just back this up for just a second and just explain what it is that, well, describe a little bit the issue.
Sure.
And then what the state is requiring and the time frame.
Yes, absolutely. So I did go through that very fast, so my apologies. So there was new law that went into effect by the IEPA this past year that essentially says lead service lines in the state of Illinois must be removed and replaced. In whole, in their entirety, they are no longer going to allow for partial lead service line replacements. And they put that process into the hands of the communities to further that process. So each water utility or municipality, in most cases in Illinois, has to develop a program and submit that to the IEPA and what their schedule is for replacement. Depending on the size of your community and how many lead service lines you have will dictate how many years you have to get that program completed. For us, we have a 15-year schedule that requires us to show forward progress each year. So that means we need to accomplish approximately 7% of what we identify as lead service lines in the community to be done each year. Right now, we are in the process of finalizing our total count. We're estimating that our lead service lines in the community are going to be around 10 to 15% of the total service lines in the community, which could be around 600 or so once the final numbers come in. We're going to finalize those numbers this year, actually, when we do our water meter replacement program through the summer and early fall. The plumbing firm that we will be working with will, when they're replacing the meters, also catalog homes that have a lead service line. For residents who want to jump on that ahead of time, we have a form on the village website. If you go to wsprings.com/water, you can find information on how to identify that yourselves and then also contact the village. And we are required to post and publish an inventory of the entire lead service lines by April of next year, April 2024. And we'll have that as a public map available for the entire community. So our schedule, we're looking at approximately 40 to 50 something service lines that we have to replace each year based on what we're estimating for our replacement. In the project plan that we presented last fall, that we identified that comes out to be around a $500,000 program annually for construction. So that would be roughly 7% per year steady for the 15-year replacement. We can get ahead of that if we want to, and if there's opportunity with funding to do more in a certain year, we may do that. But right now, we're kind of putting our first step forward into the funding year for 2024, which is when the replacement schedule essentially kicks in for when we are mandated to do replacements.
So this is really an unfunded mandate, but we have the opportunity for the IEPA loan.
Yes, and there may be, as I mentioned, there is some loan forgiveness programs that are developed right now, so there is potentially some money available. But our eligibility for that would depend on other communities. There is priority given typically to low income, those sorts of communities, or communities that have much higher percentages of lead service lines. So, but that is evaluated on a year-by-year basis as who's submitted to the loan program. It's not necessarily evaluated on all communities in Illinois. So that's why we want to try to get into that program as quickly as we can, see if we can meet some of that eligibility. And as long as those funds for forgiveness are available, which we don't anticipate they will be for that entire 15-year process, if we can get any opportunity to utilize those, we want to get those as soon as we can.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions about this?
That was a lot, but well explained.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So there's 600 homes roughly?
That's where we're estimating at this point. We
In
have
the whole
about,
village?
yeah, and we have about 75, 80% of the village completed at this point. There's a certain percentage of homes who just not responded to our surveys and postcards and some other things that have not gotten.
Primarily the older homes?
Yeah, the vast majority of it is north of the railroad tracks, really. But there is a dispersion of the lead service lines throughout various subdivisions.
Homeowners would be responsible for some of this or part of this?
If you utilize the SRF loan program, no, the village would.
Okay.
It would come through, and then you would pay the payback for the annual loan would come out of the water fund. So you wouldn't be able to, if you use an SRF loan, you wouldn't be able to bill residents on an individual basis.
Commend you for all the speed for getting that in. Hopefully that'll work out for us.
Okay. Thanks. Really good explanation, Director Supert. Any other questions? Okay. Great. All right. The next item is Raftellus Professional Services Agreement Addendum. So Raftellus, they are the consulting firm that's assisted with the stormwater utility fee study, and we have, they have identified some additional scope, pretty much related to billing system and ongoing kind of education, et cetera. And the Finance Committee reviewed this item just this week, last week, and recommended it be considered by the village board. So again, it would be an amendment to the existing professional services agreement that we have with Raftellus, and the total is $20,470 as part of that amendment. Any questions about that? Okay. All right, and then my last item is specifically that of budget amendments. So we have a couple related to the TIFs, and give me just a second here. Okay, so we have in your packets, there was a memo from Director Mastandona about the downtown TIFs, the south as well as the north. And the first one, the budget amendment is to Hawthorne, the disbursement to Hawthorne LLC was delayed just due to the property tax collection delay by Cook County. I'm sure we all remember that. We had approved a budget amendment for 2023 so that the payment could be made. Revenue collected in the first 60 days of the calendar year, so it was recognized in 2022. We'll have a budget amendment. We need a budget amendment in the amount of $74,000 for the developer reimbursement on that. The second item is for the North TIF, and this is one where too the 2022 budget did not reflect the total of the expenditures in the fund. Due to a larger than anticipated increment coming to the village, initial steps were taken to design and plan future projects. The expenditures related to the audit were just a bit off as well. We have a total of $15,136 in related budget amendments. We have professional services. We have $1,025 related to audit costs. We have $1,425 related to attorney costs. And then streetscape supplies, the streetscape furniture, we have additional costs of $8,631. Again, the total of those budget amendments will be $15,136 that we recommend for approval on the omnibus. Questions about any of those? Okay. With that, I will conclude my report from the Finance Committee. And I'll move on to General Government. Trustee Terrell.
Thank you, President Rudolph. I have relatively simple matters compared to what everyone else has presented. My first order of business is St. John of the Cross raffle license request, which will also be as an action item resolution later on this evening due to some time constraints. St. John's is asking to sell raffle tickets from today, if we approve the resolution, until June 18th of this year as part of its annual fundraising appeal. Raffles and games of chance must be granted through a license provided by the board. And we've approved their previous requests to run the raffle many years past. It's part of their annual fundraising request. Our committee thought favorably of the request, and our board has thought favorably over the years. We're also waiving the $25 fee at the church's request. Second item of business is a good one, and that is the Western Springs Business Association. They came before us in committee looking for a temporary use permit and a special event liquor license, Class J, that's for beer and wine on village property, for 4 special events planned for the summer at the Village Tower Green. The gathering on the green will be Friday, June 16th between 4 and 10. Jamming in July will be on successive Wednesdays, July 12th, July 19th, and July 26th between 5 and 9. They'll have bands. The Fall Fest is Friday, September 22nd between 5 and 9. And finally, the Winter Wonderland will be Saturday, December 2nd and December 9th, and Sunday, December 3rd and December 10th between noon and 5 p.m. The summer events and the Fall Fest, all of these events will need temporary use permits, but the summer events and the Fall Fest will need the Class J liquor license. All these events have been run many years very successfully. There was an absence because of the pandemic, but they came back last year. I attended them, a good portion of these myself. They're very, very well run. The village has cordons off the area so that the beer and wine are controlled. They have a lot of activities, and it's what we could all use. It's very well managed, and WISBA has done an excellent job in the past. The neighbors will be notified, and everything will be run professionally as it has been. So we absolutely thought it's a fine thing for the village, and we will put that on the omnibus in 2 weeks. My last item of business concerns the summer scheduling. We are moving the 2 dates for June and July for our board meeting. We're having 1 board meeting for each of those months. It had been scheduled for June 12th. Now it'll be June 19th. And the July meeting will be pushed back from July 17th to July 24th because of vacations and things of that nature. Other than that, if there are no questions, I would have no further business.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, we will move on then to action on stormwater utility fee tonight. So this is where now I haven't done this before. So I will make a motion that ordinance number 23-3133, amending Title 8, Public Ways and Property, Chapter 10, Water and Sewer Charges Regulations of the Western Springs Municipal Code to add a new section 8-10-5, Stormwater Utility Fee Regulations. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Aye.
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 Thank you. The motion passes. The second item related is resolution, this is also a motion. I'll make a motion that resolution number 23-2730, approving and adopting the Village of Western Springs Stormwater Utility Fee Credit Manual. And with that, is there a second?
I'll second.
And may we have the roll call vote?
Aye.
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 The resolution passes. Thank you very much. And we have one additional one. Trustee Terrell.
Yes, thank you. As I just previously mentioned about St. John's, I would have a motion for resolution number 23-2731, approving the issuance of a raffle license under Title III, it's Business Regulations, Chapter 12, Charitable Games, Raffles, Bingo, and Other Games of Chance Regulations, Section 3-12-3, Raffles, of the Western Springs Municipal Code of 1997 as amended, for the applicant St. John of the Cross Parish for raffle event on June 18th, 2023, with a license fee waiver and bond waiver.
I will second that. And may we have a roll call vote, please?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Now we are going to recess to closed meeting. I think there's
You seek a motion.
I seek a motion. Okay.
That would be my motion. I would have a motion to recess for closed meeting for the purpose of discussion of, 1, the selection of a person to fill a public office as defined in this act, including a vacancy in a public office, when the public body is given power to appoint under law or ordinance, or the discipline, performance, or removal of the occupant of a public office, when the public body is given power to remove the occupant under the law or ordinance pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statute 120/C(3). Is there a second?
Oh, second. Aye.
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 Okay. Okay, we will adjourn to closed session. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. We are reconvening, or Jim?
Yeah, I would have a motion to reconvene tonight's combined workshop and special meeting of the President and Board of Trustees.
Can you confirm all trustees, everyone is present?
Yes, all board members, all trustees, and President Rudolph are all present.
Does my motion have to be seconded? Or want me just announcing it?
I'll second.
For reconvening?
To come back into.
Yes,
open-
that has to be
open.
seconded.
Oh, sorry.
I'll second.
And all trustees and President Rudolph are still present.
Can we have at least a voice vote on that, on the reconvening?
Trustee Jen?
Aye.
Trustee Singh?
Aye.
Trustee John?
Aye.
Trustee Lewis?
Aye.
President Rudolph?
Aye.
And Trustee Turl?
Aye.
Perfect, thank you. So I'm going to say a few words just to introduce the idea of the vacancy and filling the vacancy under the Illinois Municipal Code. So as you know, a vacancy in the office of President of the Village of Western Springs was created and subsequently filled by President Rudolph. President Rudolph's appointment to the office of President of the Village did not directly create, but then her subsequent resignation from her seat as a trustee created a vacancy on the Board of Trustees for the village. Under the Illinois Municipal Code, Section 3.1-10-5, when a vacancy occurs in the office of trustee, the village president has the authority to make an appointment to fill that vacancy. That appointment must be done within 60 days of the occurrence of the vacancy. And upon the president's appointment, the corporate authorities will act on the appointment to give their ratification by the means of advice and consent to the appointment to fill the vacancy. So the closed session, which we've just come out of, was for the purpose of discussing the president's appointment, and the president is ready now to make that appointment.
Great, thanks very much. The name of the person I am recommending that I am appointing is Amy Avakian, here with us today. Amy has significant involvement in the community, brings to us, I think, tremendous skills. She's lived here since 2005, and I highly recommend her, and I'm excited to offer her as my appointment tonight. And with that, I will turn to Trustee Terrell.
Thank you, President Rudolph. I would have a motion to appoint Amy Avakian as trustee of the Village of Western Springs pursuant to Section 3.1.10-50, paren E and paren F of the Illinois Municipal Code.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Very good. Thank you very much. Congratulations. We will move on then to the oath of office.
I raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Amy Avakian, having been appointed to the office of village trustee in the Village of Western Springs, in the County of Cook, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the municipal code of the Village of Western Springs, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of village trustee according to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Lots of feedback. All right. Thank you, everybody. Okay, we will move on to the reports. I do not have a report tonight, other than I think what we just did. And again, there were a lot of, there were other qualified applicants, and I'm very pleased with everyone's interest in the community and serving. So, and thank you, Amy Avakian, for being our new trustee. Next up, Village Manager Bear.
I just have a few items. First, I just wanted to mention that, as previously mentioned during the Public Works and Water Committee report, there are a lot of construction updates to be had. We have a number of projects that are village projects, county projects, state projects, tollway project. So I would just encourage people throughout the summer our spring, summer, into the fall, to really check our website. Our staff puts a great deal of effort into putting out weekly updates, sometimes more frequently than that even. We have links to the projects at the other agencies. The tollways giving us regular information on their website, and we have all the links on our website if you can't find it on there. So just a reminder that that is available to anyone who's looking. The tollway did let us know that the sound wall work is going to begin very shortly here, and so for those who live in that area, they may have been receiving communication from the tollway. And again, there's updates on their website and links from our website to their website. The French Market moved to Fridays this year, Fridays from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. The market began last week on Friday, on May 5th, and it was a huge success. We had more than a dozen vendors. We had a couple of food trucks there. A lot of people joined us at the Tower Green. The new tables and chairs were out. It was lovely. We had people picnicking. It was really a nice event. Director Bud Zakowski has been working with Bensadune, the village's vendor, as well as WISBA and some of the others to kind of bring it back to life again this year, and we're really pleased with the turnout. So if you have time on Fridays, it's a great place to stop after work or in the evening, bring the kids. With a lot of activity down there. So again, it's Fridays from 4 to 7. Touch a Truck is the next event the village is putting on Saturday, May 20th, 2023, from 9 to noon at the Tower Green. The Public Works Department, the Municipal Services Department, Public Works Division in particular, has been working really hard on this event. And Matt, is there anything you want to say about that? I know we have some information on our website, but
Just want to say it was looking to be a really big, nice event. It's going to be bigger than the one we did in 2019. We're actually going to have a big turnout in addition to our regular vendors. The Sheriff's Office will be bringing several vehicles. And then also the first hour, so it's going to be 9 to noon. The first hour is a sensory-friendly hour, so we won't have any horns or sirens going. So the second 2 hours, kids who want to pull on the chain for the horn are welcome to do so.
That's always a good time, and they do a really nice job with that event. So please, if you're around Saturday, May 20th from 9 to noon at the Tower Green. And the last thing I just wanted to put out there is to save the date. The household cleanup day for this year is going to be Saturday, June 24th, with our partner Lakeshore Recycling, who will be once again collecting from the curbside. So again, that's Saturday, June 24th. We don't have anything yet on the website, but it will be up there shortly. So keep watch and save the date for that. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. And Village Attorney Ann.
I do not have a report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate you being here. Any other business? Any other trustee? All right, with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I would have motion to adjourn tonight's combined workshop and special meeting of the President and Board of Trustees.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Is that what we do?
Aye.
Right?
Okay.
Sorry, I'm still learning the protocol here.
No, we
Yes?
keep looking at the
Is
link.
that all
Are
in
we
favor?
all?
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
We are
you.
adjourned.
Okay.
Just one.